I know everybody wants you to read their script. I'm not going to do that. I have another agenda. I'm totally straight up with people.
And I'm curious because I'm someone that, would dread doing cold calls. I've tried them in the past. I never felt like I had a good, I'm not quick on my feet in terms of my ability to chat with people. Do you have any advice there just for writers that I think a lot of writers fall into this camp where we're more introverted and kind of want to be by ourselves? What are some tips for someone that is like that? How do they get the courage to just make these cold calls? The gift of gab, being chatty, being able to just chat people up.
The easiest and probably most generous and most effective tip I could give you is to say, be other focused. Like when you call someone, don't make it about you. I mean, you want to introduce yourself. You give them your name and you say, I'm a writer. I'm relatively new and I'm not going to submit a script. But I'm calling because I want to know you, and you obviously have beat out 50 or 100 people to get this job, for God's sakes. And it's fascinating. I don't want to submit a script. I have a couple of questions. If you have 3 to 5 minutes, it'd be awesome if you could help. I will ask them questions like, where are you from? Where'd you go to school? And by the way, you're sitting on an agent's desk. Does that mean you want to be an agent? Or do you want to go into production? Do you want to go into casting or whatever? Start to make it about them and literally I would do this. After 3 minutes, I would say, I've used up my time. Thank you. I've got another question, but I'll call you in a week. At the same time, 1 o'clock when your boss is probably at lunch. I'll call you back if you've got a few minutes. That would be awesome. In other words, you build in your follow-up so you're not sitting there nervously thinking, how do I follow up? Mm-hmm. I get their last name so I can research today the heck out of them on Google, and I can find out a lot about that human being. So when I call them back the second time, I'm saying, you may not remember, we spoke a week ago. Oh my God, I just researched. I didn't realize you went to this school, you'd studied this, blah, 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 whatever it is. Again, make it about them. Find some commonality, anything. And again, you just want to be on the phone for 3-4 minutes. It's not a big deal. By the third, let me back up, Ashley. My whole thesis is the first time you call someone, you're a stranger. The second time, they may remember you. And if they do, you're familiar, but they don't really know you. But some tripwire happens the third time you talk to someone. After you've talked to someone 3 times, there's a trick that happens in our brain. And it's like, oh, it's Ashley. And if you're always pleasant and you're not asking big favors, when they hang up the phone, you want there to be no work for them to do. You want to be the one who's not asking work of them. By the third time, then you can say, hey, I still feel a little bit shy about sending you my script. But here's the thing. I have a pitch deck, or I have a treatment, or I have something really, really small. It would mean the world to me. Do you have if I sent it to you, would you have 5 minutes to look at it and give me your thoughts? And that's how I just sort of, it's like a courtship. You think of it as courtship, right? And you honor the other person for look, 99% of people who call anybody, any office, they're in a rush to brush right past the assistant, get the boss on the phone or whatever. These people are overworked and they're not the recipient of a lot of respect or empathy. I mean, I had one guy years ago, I called up a guy on behalf of a chef. I have a friend in LA who's a very renowned chef, and he had created this proposal for a book. It's not a typical cookbook, it was very innovative. And he said, can you help me get it published? I said, I know people in publishing, but not in this area. I'm an idiot. I don't know what to do. He said, well, just, could you help? And I said, okay, fine. So I called a bunch of people and I said, who in the publishing world could be in this vertical? And there was one name that came across from 5 different conversations. They also mentioned this guy amongst others. So I called this guy, his name was Simon. And he's in New York on Madison Avenue at a respected company. And I called this guy Simon, and I leave a message, and he calls me back and he says, yeah, this is Simon. And I said, hi, it's Gary Goldstein. That's very kind of you to call me back. Listen, I'm calling on, not on my behalf, but on behalf of a friend of mine who's a very respected, celebrated chef, and he's got a book idea. And I don't know anything about your business. I'm not in that business. And he said, wait a minute, you're Gary Goldstein. I said, yes. He said, you're in LA. I said, yes. He said, you're a film producer. I said, yes. He said, you don't remember me. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. What's Simon? Oh, Simon Green. Oh my. He said, do you remember Ian Greenstein? I shouldn't say these names on the podcast. Anyway, he said, do you remember Ian? And I said, oh my God, it was like a light went off. And I went, Ian, I loved him. You're that Simon? You were his assistant? That was so many years ago. He said, yeah, but I've never forgotten you. And I'll tell you why. You're the only person in Hollywood who called me and actually cared about me and asked questions about me and my aspirations and how I was feeling. You always took a couple of minutes before you asked for my boss. Whatever you're going to ask me, the answer is yes. Now tell me what you need. And I will tell you that that is, to me, that is the simple, God's honest DNA truth of the dividends that you get from treating the entry-level people well. And when I say entry, this could be assistants, directors of development, creative exec, whatever they call it, all those titles.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Selling Your Screenplay podcast. If you'd like to hear the full interview, just go to sellingyourscreenplay.com/podcasts. Or to go directly to the episode, just use the link in the show notes. Thanks for watching.